All right. Let me make sure this thing's still streaming. Great. Hi, everybody. I hope you all are well. This is Pamela ButtaFly, and here with another session of deep diving. This conversation is an open discussion. It's nothing in particular, but I do want to talk about a bunch of random things, simply because we're talking about conspiracy theories and symbols and all things tie into one thing. So the reason why I wanted to have this open discussion to where it goes anywhere is because a lot of people have thoughts. Hold on, let me go back to my stream. A lot of people have different thoughts about different things, these different conspiracies. Like, for instance, I was having a conversation about with a Christian. This is pertaining to religion, about a Christian, and we were talking about how Jesus and Lucifer are the same thing. They're the same being. And so, the whole argument started about understanding why he is a symbol. Okay, why? And they give you stories. Where's my Bible? Let me go ahead on and throw my disclaimer. Let me say that, again, nothing I say is to offend anybody, religion or faith, to take away your whole theory or whatever. My thing is just to get people to think, right? A lot of us have been misled. We've been mistaught. We've been conditioned in a certain way to believe certain things and see certain things. And even the things we see, we aren't to even question it. We just to say, oh, that says 7-Eleven is just 7-Eleven. Or that's just a doorknob, this is just doorknob type thing. Like, we're not meant to see things for what they are. So we go deeper into the questioning stage, into researching what these particular things mean. We'll find that it's hidden meanings behind all of these things. Symbols, signs, it's something deeper there. And I think that because most of us are surface dwellers, and we think that, the information given to us is correct and is complete. Well, not to say that it's not incorrect, not to say that it's not correct, but that doesn't mean that it's complete. Just like with the Bible, that not saying that it's a lie, right? And those who say that it's the truth, yeah, it might be the truth, but it's not the way I'm telling you. So when you have words in a book, and like they say, you don't add nor take away, and you stick with these things, and you tell somebody, hey, I put these things together, and it looks like Lucifer and Jesus are the same people, as if Lucifer is as if Jesus is the incarnated Lucifer. It's as if he's the one made in the flesh, the devil in the flesh, so to speak. Now, he himself made references to say who he was. And it's not that they give you a lot in the Bible about the devil, but they do tell you his works, right? He seeks people that he want to get, he gathers them up, he gets them to worship him and see him as God. So everybody can worship him, versus whatever God they had known before. He came to overthrow God and claim his kingdom here on earth. Same thing Jesus' role was, came from heaven down to earth and was made in the flesh, and he is king. He's made king. Now with the devil was supposedly the prince of the earth. Now, before Jesus was a king, right? He was just a man. So when you have Lucifer, who had to come down because he was casted down, and let's remember that the story isn't even told in its order per the beginning, the beginning from what they're telling us. The book of we'll go with the Holy Bible, King James Version, that starts off their beginning with people, not with the gods warring in heaven, which would technically be the beginning, because before all this stuff on earth, this war popped off up there in heaven. So that story is in the end of the book in Revelation. So when you see that the beginning is the end, and the end is actually the beginning of the story, you already know that this is even out of order, to show you that this is the book for the people. This is the book for the fleshly made God, who comes to take his fleshly made people, who he comes to deceive in that type of way. How is he able to deceive them? Well, Jesus came and he goes about these different towns. And as he's going about these different towns, he's picking up people. And these people is leaving everything behind and following him. Now, here's the thing about that. Jesus' thing is that you love the Lord, you love him more than you love your own children that you gave birth to. All of that. You love him first. So here we're seeing this is a God who's a lover of himself, of even himself. So you can't even love yourself first. You have to love something that you don't know nothing about, that you fear, and then you love yourself or your kids or whatever you want to do then. But that God comes first, period. So here it is. This God is already messing and meddling with man's free will, because he's taking away your choice to love who you want to love first. Now, I know many people will make excuses and say, but he's God and blah, 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 blah. Okay. But even as a parent, I wouldn't say love me before you love your own kids. You know what I mean? Like, that is your child. That's a different kind of love. And for me to even ask that, I'm overstepping my boundaries as a parent, I would think. But of course, you have people who, again, don't see a problem with this, and that's fine. But when we get down to understanding what this God and who this God is, now this matters, right? Because if you're going to put it on other people to say this is what they have to do, well, what if I don't want to love this thing before I love my kid? What if I can't stop the love I have for my child to give to this God? Like, you're already, again, meddling in free will. So we're going to talk about how the connection that Lucifer and Jesus makes. Let me get. And because things like this stumbles over in relationships. I was just reading posts about a man who felt some kind of way. Valentine's Day, going out to eat. They sitting at the table. He's paying for the meal and everything. And it comes, he pays the bills, he pays all the stuff, he pays the dinner. And she goes, "Thank you, Jesus." And not even a thank you to the man that just paid all this stuff, the bills and all this stuff. She thanked Jesus instead. So, like I said, this spills over in relationships and people's homes, and is disrespectful when you think about it on a level, regardless of how if you're going to enter my life and tell me what I should love first, that's a problem. That's already, you taking away my supposedly free will that you supposedly gave me, that you said you supposedly have no control over. But yet you will me to love you first. So let me get into where are my notes about this stuff. It's something specific I wanted to get into, but I'll get into that in a minute. Let us just talk about what we do know, right? The devil seeks, kills, destroys, he betrays, all these things. Now, you have Jesus, who sought to get certain people. He did not come for good people. He came from the bottom of the earth. He wanted to get all of what we would call the castaways, the bums, the people who don't need to even be here because they no good, they deceitful, they deceptive, all the stuff. We need to get rid of these people, supposedly. But he came for them, to add these people on his team. Now, he's building up his army, collecting his followers, right? He tells these people that I want you to do the same, you can do the same thing I do. You can go and heal and blah, 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 blah. And these people like, well, you didn't give me the power. We don't have the power like you have. And he's like, what are you talking about? What I can do, you can do, right? So here he is giving these people commands on how to go into these people's house and do whatever it is they got to do. They give you everything they got. And when everything is gone, get out of there and go to the next house, right? These people do this all over these little neighboring towns. All of a sudden, these people realize they've been bamboozled. Like, hold on. You came knocking on my door. Hey, I came to offer you some service. And you're like, okay. They let you in. You do whatever it is that you say you can do. These people housing you, they feeding you, they clothing you. You ain't got nothing to worry about. Basically, you bums living off of people, right? So you're teaching these people how to be bums and live off of people, and you doing little work, side work, do whatever it is you get these people want you to do. After everything is gone, they on to the next town. Nobody knows where these people are at. Nobody's seen these people until somebody said, hey, you heard about this person named Jesus? He's been coming around and just, yeah, he did me that too. Now these people pissed off. Now they want to kill this man because they realize something ain't right about you. You came and you said this, that, and other. And we like, don't we know you? Aren't you Joseph and Mary's child? Like, how are you a Messiah? Blah, blah, blah. You know, questioning this man. So what does he do to convince him? He does some little magic tricks and shit. So he can trick him and be like, okay, see, would anybody be able to do what I just did? Here, it's like these people were already doing those type of things back then, magic tricks and stuff. Look back in the story of Moses and, with the rod turned into a snake and all this. So it's not like he was coming up on the scenes doing anything different. Yet they treated him as such, okay? Because he came doing the little magic tricks. It wowed these people. They fell for it and they believed he was God, the one sent. Now, he keeps saying that he was sent, right? Now, the one from heaven, Lucifer, was sent to earth, casted down from heaven, from him doing the same exact thing. You collecting people, telling people all this stuff, and making them change their minds about what they originally knew to say, hey, hold on. I want y'all to think about this for a minute. So we got God over here telling us what to do, and I know just as much as he do. But he over here got us slaving and junk. I don't like that. I don't like how we got to do everything he says. It's as if we're under his command. We don't have no freedom. But when I come down to earth, when I go down there, I have all the freedom I want. These people like, oh, you know what? I agree. I'm on your side. Gotta have a conversation with Lucifer, like, word got back to me that you're trying to overthrow my kingdom. Lucifer, like, yeah, I don't like how this thing working out. I don't like, I have to be your servant, your helpmate. And I'm not feeling that right there. I got a problem with being under your authority and your order. So I'm out. God, like, damn right, you out. I don't want you gone. You're not gonna do this here. And next thing you know, when he casted Lucifer out, others follow him. So here it is. We're talking about somebody of knowledge and wisdom convince others to follow his way. That happened in heaven. Same thing happened on earth. He says he's the Lord of the dead. Now, in order to become a king, the prince, for the prince to become a king, the king have to go, because you can't have two kings, But once the king is gone, then the priest, the prince, then can become a king. Well, Lucifer was a prince here. He was the prince, so-called, of the earth. Now, as a prince, I guess his powers were limited. But it's so funny that Jesus came in the flesh and had to die. And after he died, he became a king. So that prince, Lucifer, came in the flesh, had to die. He still lives because you can't kill the devil. And you have the story that's lining up. Jesus even said he went to hell. Now here it is. People will say, well, how can Jesus be Lucifer if the devil was trying to tempt him on the mountains and da. Again, mind you, as a devil, as Lucifer, he's just a prince. Now you have Jesus, who is set to be a king, right? Lucifer says, I'll give you all of this, because initially Lucifer is the one who has, is the God of the earth. Well, Jesus says, get behind me, Satan, for this is already mine, right? Now, he knows it's already his, because as a prince, once he dies, he's going to become a king, showing that which he did say and labeled King of the Jews. And what did that what happened with the religion is it did by his followers, and the ones who followed him ended up doing what? Spreading it around the earth, seeking who they may devour, getting people to join their team, just like he did in heaven. He came to earth, he did the same thing, got a bunch of followers to follow him, and there you go. So when you line those two up, and you go into even how the name is broken down, and you go into light bearer, light bringer. The reason why Lucifer is a light bearer is because he's the one who bear the message, right? Jesus is known as the light bringer. He's the one who brought the message. And hey, I'm telling you, this is what it is. I came with the good news of enlightenment, of knowledge. So these two stories do align. These two characters do align. So it also would make sense how and why people would say, oh, they sold to the devil, but they can rock a big cross on their necklace. They can rock big crosses on their, all these things. Those two things align. Oh, they not Christian. Well, what make them not no more Christian than what you are? You rocking the cross around your neck too. They rap, they got the same thing. Only they know what they doing and you don't. You think you know what you're worshiping. They know what they worshiping. So why are these two things connecting? And that's just because of denial. That's just because we don't want to unlearn the things we learn and understand in its truthfulness. It's because we've fallen in love with lies so much that we build our entire lives around lies, even in relationships. If we can't deal, and the reason why I'm talking about that in connecting relationships is because this book requires you to love it, matter of the heart, love it. How can you love your mate, your partner, your spouse, whoever, and you can truly say you love them if you say you love God, and you're supposed to love God first. And that alone says, I would have to ask you, what is love then? What is love? If you say that you love this God more than you love your children, your parents, even yourself, then you can't say that people in the crazy house locked up right now who said they've been hearing voices, the voice of God, telling them to kill their child. And, they honestly believe that they heard this. And they say, because they love God this much and they are that loyal to God, that they did it. But that same court system that will make you put your hands on the Bible and swear to tell the truth, and you tell them that you've been hearing voices. and the voice kept telling you to do this, diabolical act, right? And the court is going to say, I don't believe it. So how did you hear this voice? Same way the people in the Bible heard it. They heard it here. Well, can you hear it now? Yeah, I can hear it right now. It's talking to me. What is it telling you? It's telling me that, I'll be okay because I did what it told me to do. People in the court gonna look at this man like, or this woman like, you need help. But depending on the decision, will they even get that help? Or will they just throw them in the jailhouse and be like, nah, I don't even think you're telling the truth about that. When they probably are saying and telling the truth that they really are hearing voices in their head. And who's to say that is not the voice of God? Because, they believed in this religion so long. When they, first come out, their mama, they was already with God and Jesus and all this stuff about this book, scaring these kids about going to hell and all this stuff in this book. You got Abraham almost about to kill his child, but yet that's accepted. But in the real life, it's not accepted. Even when they tell you to swear on this, what you say out your mouth, even if it's the same type of plague, mental plague that happened on these people, is not accepted. You're seen as crazy or you're going to jail. But there's no way that they're going to say that this guy really did tell this person to do that. And if so, how can we lock somebody up for doing so? What if God was telling this person to do something like, that's why I say religion confuses people. And because religion confuses people, it's the way that people preach it. It's the way that people teach it. If you can't teach it for what it actually says in its true entirety, then people don't need to preach it. Hold on a second, you guys. People don't need to preach it if that's the case. So it's like, when are we going to get to a point when we are being honest with ourselves, when we are being truthful about what's really written in here? Were we taught wrong? Were we misled about things? Our understanding about what God is or what a God is, for that matter. Why we do the things we do? Why are we, you got people who question about why do we tithe and all this stuff, and that will be a good question. But if you ask somebody in the church, they'll say, it's, to give to God. But I thought in the Bible that Jesus said, what's under Caesar is the Caesar, give it to Caesar. It don't have Jesus' name, face on the money. So how is this money going to this God? But nobody thinks about that. You know what I mean? Why, if this is supposedly money that doesn't belong to him, and here it is, he's saying, give unto Caesar what is Caesar, back then out of his own mouth, saying, hey, I don't want that money because that's not my money. Why in the churches are you asking for that money that he said, I have no use for this? So my question would be, what use do you have for this money that's supposed to be going to this God? Those are the questions that people are afraid to ask these, church officials because, again, they'll get chopped down, kicked out of the church or whatever the case may be. I'm pretty sure it won't be nice. But these are questions that need to be asked. And why isn't that allowed is the question. Because this is messing up people's homes. It is messing up people's relationships because of the mindsets that we have, because we refuse to unlearn things that's not healthy just because we've known it all this time. It was probably functional. That doesn't mean it was the right way to go, but it was functional. Does that mean that we should still continue to keep going that way just because it's functional? It's like, speaking about, the average person is on autopilot. I say autopilot in the sense of thinking. A person on a daily routine, they work, let's say 6 days a week, and no thinking required. They do the same thing day in and day out. They can do this job with their eyes closed. You are not accustomed to thinking on a daily basis. You're accustomed to working on autopilot. And to show that a lot of people work on autopilot, we just don't realize we work on autopilot. If you've ever been doing anything, let's say you've been driving, you going down the street, you driving, and while you're driving, you drop into this deja vu moment. You're not even driving no more. You're in a whole nother location, but you're managing to keep the car going without going off, or you're managed to keep up with the traffic and keep going. You're on autopilot. So it's the same thing as a person working, let's say, a repetitive job, and day in, day out, factory or something like that. Here it is. You're doing this job. You're bored because you already know the next call and blah, 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 blah. Tap it up on the computer and so. No thinking required, right? While you're in the middle of working, somebody throws a question in. Hey, I have something to ask you. Blah, 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 blah. First thing you're going to say, damn, you done threw my focus off. But a person who is constantly always thinking, they're working. You can ask them a question and they'll be like, so, right back to working. They're in a habit of always critically thinking. They have to always think because they're always on that wave path. But a person who isn't on a path of having to even think, because everything just works out, and they just just go through day, whatever. It is what it is. Oh, that is what it is. And never taking the time out to examine anything, question anything, nothing. You just come to work. I just come to get a check, doing the same thing. And you wonder why somebody can ask you something or tell you something and it can throw your whole day off. That's because now you're thinking. You wasn't thinking all before, but now you're thinking because here's this person that made you think about something. All day you couldn't say you were thinking. You were just working. You were on autopilot. So when we can recognize the art of figuring out whether we're using this or is it just here and we are on autopilot. Are we really critically thinking and breaking things apart? This is how to tell whether you're not so easily influenced versus easily influenced. So if you're not a person in the habit of thinking on a regular basis, you don't have to, you just day in and day out, it's the same thing. Usually those people are easily to be trained or programmed to do certain jobs with no problem. They are more focused on that thing. Whereas a critical thinker, it might take them a little bit longer because they're trying to figure out, like, all right, you say do this and do this, this, and this. They want to break down what this and that and this is, so they can know exactly what they're doing. So it's a different process in how people think and how they operate. Same thing happens in relationships versus people who think first and move, or they feel first and move. When you feel first, here it is, you're moving without being aware of quite where you're going. You're just following a feeling. You're blind. So you're being blindly guided because you're going by emotions. The problem is that this doesn't have eyes to see out of. So it's going to always get hurt when it decides to go without this first. So this is at the top of this because this is what guides everything else. So if this isn't moving first and saying, I feel it's safe for us to open up because I see what it is being offered. You go off of this, you're hoping what's being offered is being offered. And usually you get hurt because that's what happens to the heart. It goes in all open and next thing you know, it gets slapped. And so it goes in all open and then next thing you know, it gets shut. And what does it do? Because it can't deal with why did this happen to me? Why am I hurting? Now you're asking questions that you should have asked first. Now you got to go here. You're not asking your heart. Now you're asking your mind, like you're trying to think, like, what did I do wrong? Where did I go wrong? So if you're not walking right, you're not going to move right. So if you're going by your feelings and emotions, and that's more important, is how you feel about things, then you can look forward to being hurt about a lot of things. But if you think your way through things and let your emotions assist you in making the right decisions, like, you know, my heart don't agree with me doing this, or my heart agrees with me doing this. You know, it's a connection there that has to be made in order for you to be able to walk in the direction you want to walk, or else you're going to be doing both what your mind say and what your heart say, and never making a decision, and which is going to cause confusion in your life. So let me check this one thing. I don't know why that's I don't want to stay on too long. Yeah, so these are connections being made for us to walk right. And a lot of, I have to say, women, especially Black women, like myself, you have Black women who are now understanding that moving off of emotions isn't so smart. So versus us being raised to get you a good husband that's going to do so and so and so, now you're being told, get you a good education, you know, make sure that you can take care of yourself. Get your good education, get out there and do what you got to do to survive for yourself, you and yours. So it's a very different message from what used to be said about finding a husband and, you know, a man that's going to take care of you and stuff. Now is you take care of yourself. That's not a act about moving. You can't go off of emotions on that. You have to go off of logic. What's best for you? What's the best decision for you to make? But at the end of the day, you're gonna have a lot of women that's going to disagree with what I'm saying because their emotions matters more. And feelings for some reason is a big thing. You got to protect your feelings and this, that, and the other, and go by what you feel, and all of this fairy tale life crap we are being told. But reality says, I don't care what gender you are, male, female, it. Think before you go moving with your heart first. I don't care what complexion, what race, what religion, what nothing. We are all perfectly made. Head at the top, heart, feet to the bottom, or whatever it's supposed to be that way. But we have to be able to walk in line, because if not, we can't make excuses on things we should be accountable for. So I'm gonna go, y'all. I'm not gonna try to stay on long. I'm trying to get some things going, but I hope that you all got something out of this. If you did, let me know. And I appreciate you watching, listening, taking in some wisdom. If you have something to add. If you would like to join the podcast, let me know. I will be glad to have you on. I do readings still, to where you can contact me on Facebook on the messenger at Pamela ButtaFly, and I will be glad to schedule a reading for you. Okay. I thank you all for watching. Please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to my channel so we can grow this wisdom family. Thank you guys for watching.